Have you ever been walking in the woods, maybe at dusk, and you spot a deer in the distance? There's that initial moment of stillness, of quiet appreciation for nature. But what if, as you got a little closer, a cold dread started to creep up your spine? What if you realized that what you're looking at isn't a deer at all? Welcome to the unsettling mystery of the Appalachian Not Deer. For years, whispers and stories have trickled out of the deep, ancient forests of the Appalachian Mountains. Tales from hikers, hunters, and people living on the edge of the wilderness, all describing a creature that, at first glance, looks like a deer, but only for a moment. The closer you look, the more things feel wrong, horribly wrong. The proportions are off. Maybe its legs are too long or bent at an unnatural angle, like a spider's. Perhaps its neck is too short, or its head is just a little too large for its body. These aren't just minor variations. They're fundamental errors in its design, as if something tried to build a deer from memory but got all the details twisted. One of the most common and unnerving features reported is the eyes. A real deer, a prey animal, has eyes on the sides of its head, giving it a wide field of vision to spot predators. But the not deer? Witnesses consistently describe it as having forward-facing eyes, like a wolf, like a cougar, like a human. They're predatory eyes, and they don't just glance at you, they stare. They lock onto you with an unnerving, intelligent focus that feels less like an animal assessing a threat and more like a hunter sizing up its next meal. And that's where the true terror begins. A normal deer, when it spots a human, will either freeze for a second before bounding away or immediately turn and flee into the underbrush. That's their survival instinct. The not deer does the opposite. It stands its ground. It will remain unnaturally still, sometimes for an unsettlingly long time, just watching you with those forward-facing eyes. There's no fear in its posture, only a quiet, chilling confidence. Imagine being deep in the woods, the sun going down, and this ... is just standing there 20 yards away, its gaze burning into you, making it clear that you are the one who is out of place. You are the one who should be afraid. The stories get even stranger when the not deer finally decides to move. It doesn't move like a deer. People have reported seeing it contort its body in ways that defy biology. Its joints seem to bend backward. Its limbs might jerk and twitch erratically, like a broken puppet. Some of the most terrifying accounts describe the creature, after a long period of stillness, suddenly rearing up and standing on its hind legs. It doesn't just hop up for a moment. It stands there, tall and menacing, looking more like some nightmarish figure from folklore than any known animal. Then there's the speed. Witnesses claim that when it finally decides to run, it's not the graceful bound of a whitetail. It's a blur. An impossibly fast, jerky motion that covers ground at a speed no four-legged creature should be capable of. It might scramble on all fours with a scuttling, insect-like gait or even run bipedally for short distances, vanishing into the trees before your brain can fully process the horrifying image of what you've just seen. The movement is often described as glitchy, like a corrupted video file, something that doesn't belong in our reality. So what are these things? The theories are as varied and strange as the sightings themselves. For a long time, the simplest explanation was that they were supernatural entities. Ghosts, spirits of the forest, or some kind of malevolent nature elemental. Given the ancient and mystical reputation of the Appalachians, a region steeped in folklore and strange happenings, it's an easy conclusion to jump to. These creatures feel otherworldly, like they've stepped out of a nightmare and into our woods. They defy the laws of nature as we know them, so perhaps they don't belong to our world at all. But in recent years, a more grounded and frankly more terrifying theory has gained traction. What if the not deer isn't a ghost, but a victim of something biological? This theory centers on the idea of a prion disease. Prions are misfolded proteins that can cause fatal neurodegenerative diseases in animals and humans. The most famous example is chronic wasting disease, or CWD, which affects deer, elk, and moose. CWD is often called zombie deer disease, and for good reason. It attacks the brain and nervous system, causing drastic weight loss, stumbling, listlessness, and other abnormal behaviors. Infected deer can lose their natural fear of humans, drool excessively, and walk in repetitive patterns. They look like a hollowed-out, wrong version of their healthy selves. Now, could some of the not deer sightings simply be cases of advanced CWD? It's possible. An animal in the late stages of this disease would certainly look disturbing and behave unnaturally. Its emaciated frame and vacant stare could easily be interpreted as something monstrous in the low light of dawn or dusk. This would explain the wrongness of the creature's appearance, the sickly gaunt look, and its lack of fear. But what about the more extreme reports? What about the predatory eyes, the bipedal stance, the impossible speed? CWD doesn't cause a deer's eyes to migrate to the front of its skull. It doesn't give them the ability to stand and run on two legs. This is where the theory takes an even darker turn. What if we're not dealing with CWD as we know it, but a mutated strain? Or, more chillingly, an entirely new prion disease, one that doesn't just destroy the brain but actively warps the host's body and behavior into something predatory? This leads us to the concept of aggressive mimicry. In nature, this is when a predator evolves to resemble something harmless or even attractive to lure in its prey. The anglerfish with its glowing lure is a classic example. Now apply that to the not deer. The theory suggests this prion, or perhaps some ancient parasite, infects a host deer and slowly reshapes it. It doesn't just kill the animal, it turns it into a living trap. It keeps the basic deer shape to appear non-threatening from a distance, drawing curious humans or other animals closer. Think about it. You see what looks like a sick or injured deer. Your instinct might be to approach it, either out of concern or curiosity. But as you get closer, you realize the eyes are wrong, the limbs are bent, and it's not afraid of you. By the time you understand your mistake, you're already within its striking range. The disease isn't just making the deer sick, it's turning it into a hyper-aggressive predator, using the deer's body as a disguise. This would explain the predatory stare and the unnatural stillness. It's the stillness of a hunter waiting for the perfect moment to strike. This parasitic mimic theory is deeply unsettling because it bridges the gap between the supernatural and the scientific. It suggests there could be a real biological pathogen out there capable of creating these monsters. Something that could have been lying dormant in the soil or ice of the Appalachians for millennia, only now re-emerging due to environmental changes. It explains the glitchy movements as the parasite's struggling for full control over the host's nervous system. It explains the unnatural strength and speed as a result of adrenaline and neural hijacking, pushing the host's body far beyond its normal physical limits, even as it tears it apart from the inside. Whether the not deer is a spirit of the woods, a victim of a known disease like CWD, or a host for a terrifying parasitic mimic, the stories all share a common thread, a profound sense of wrongness. It's the violation of the natural order. Deer are meant to be timid, graceful symbols of the wild. The not deer is a perversion of that image. It takes something familiar and beloved and twists it into a source of primal fear. It's a reminder that even in places we think we know, there are things that defy our understanding, things that watch us from the shadows. So the next time you're near the woods and you see a deer, take a closer look. Check its proportions. Check its movements. And most importantly, check its eyes. And if it doesn't run, you should. Thank you for watching. If you've had an encounter with something you can't explain in the wilderness, share your story in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more dives into the unknown. Stay safe out there.